Law enforcement is rebelling against the far left like never before as Democrat sheriffs across the country are switching to the GOP and cops are forming alliances with armed militias. In this video, we're going to take a look at the mass defection among Democrat law enforcement, how more and more law enforcement officials are embracing and allying themselves with armed militia groups, and how it all represents a new political realignment that's forging a conservative coalition more powerful than ever before. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Patriots all across the globe. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you as always. If you're new to our channel, we analyze current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so we can all live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel, where together each and every day we celebrate the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. Also, I am excited to let you know that we have a big announcement coming this Friday. We've got an awesome new development here at Turley Talks, and it's going to knock your socks off. Can't wait to let it share that with you. I can't wait. It's building the anticipation. Now, before we get into Democrat sheriffs abandoning the Democrat Party, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our good friends over at Prepper's Peak and their new solar water heater. You know, with all the lockdowns we just witnessed over the last several months, this solar water heater can turn out to be our very best friend. Solar water heater is an amazing device. It allows you to heat and boil water outdoors using simply the sunlight. It can heat water in as little as 30 minutes. It'll work anywhere the sun shines. You could use it to boil water, to cook noodles and rice. You could use it to sterilize water for drinking. Hello, campers. It's easy to clean. It can be used anywhere there's sunlight. And the best part is that if you click on the link below right now, you're going to get 15% off. So what can be better? Don't wait. Click on that link before they sell out and get your own Patriot Sun cooker today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We are seeing a rather, well, it's stunning, if not all too predictable development in the continuing political realignment of our nation. The Democrats' war on cops continues to take a severe toll on their relationship with law enforcement, obviously. Now, just to set the context here, as I'm sure many of you know, the National Association of Police, which is the largest national police organization in the nation, they represent more than 1,000 police associations. They nearly 250,000 police officers. They're huge. They're huge, right? They have officially endorsed President Trump over Sleepy Joe, and this despite the fact that they endorsed the Obama-Biden ticket back in 2012. So no luck for Joe this year. They're thoroughly on the side of President Trump. Not only that, but New York City's Police Benevolent Association, which is the largest municipal police union in the world, they endorsed President Trump as well, which it made the New Yorker magazine absolutely livid, right? They were so incensed over that endorsement. They actually claimed that this was an ominous development, the authoritarian alliance of proponents of police brutality and the Trump administration. I mean, this is what passes as journalism. I mean, it's just so goofy at this point. But now we're seeing two new developments emerging in this political realignment going on in our nation. The first involves Democrat sheriffs across the country defecting over to the Republican Party. Yeah, now, you have to wonder how there could be a single Democrat sheriff or law enforcement official at this point. But, hey, you know, sanctification is progressive, as they say, and we are indeed seeing a clear defection of sheriffs from the Democrats. Examples of this phenomenon abound. The most recent defection comes from just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Westmoreland County Sheriff James Albert announced that he is officially cutting ties with the Democratic Party and joining the Republican Party. Now, Albert's a lifelong Democrat who simply can no longer align himself with a party that has so explicitly sided with lawbreakers while throwing law enforcement under the bus. Speaking out against the race riots that have overwhelmed Pittsburgh, as well as most of the nation's cities today, Albert said, quote, "These outrageous lawless acts have been met with silence, acquiescence, and in some instances, outright support from the local, state, and national leadership of the Democratic Party. As a lifelong public servant and member of law enforcement, I have not left the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has left me." Hear, hear. Now, as it turns out, Albert is not alone in this sense of betrayal by his former political party. In fact, We could say that there appears nothing short of a massive trend going on across the country where Democratic sheriffs in county after county are switching parties. A Democrat county sheriff in Indiana has just announced that he is switching parties. Vanderburgh County Sheriff Dave Wedding, he's the sheriff of the single largest county in Indiana. He told reporters that he was leaving his party because Democrats wanted to, quote, burn the American flag every single day, close quote, and that he could no longer in good conscience be associated with such a deranged party. Just days before in Posey County, Indiana, the sheriff there, Tom Latham, who was elected to office in 2018, keep in mind that's the difference between sheriffs and police, right? Sheriffs are actually elected, right? They're elected law enforcement. In many counties, they're the most powerful political official there is. Sheriffs are really impressive. They protect the shire, right, as it were, sheriffs. But days before Sheriff Wedding announced that he was switching to the GOP, Posey County Sheriff Tom Latham announced that he was officially switching to the GOP, citing similar issues as well. In Hamilton County, Ohio, the outgoing Democrat Sheriff Jim Neal has officially endorsed the Republican candidate to take his place. In West Virginia, Tazewell County Sheriff Brian Hyatt has officially switched parties, joining the Republicans, which he sees as the party supportive of law and order. We could go on and on and on. There really is a massive shift, a political paradigm shift, where the new antagonism is no longer so much right versus left or even Republican versus Democrat. It's now those who want to protect and preserve and defend America and American values and our way of life, and those who want to destroy it. Those who disparage it, who denigrate it as racist and bigoted and guilty of every phobic slur you could come up with. So that's the new political paradigm that's emerging, and that will continue to reconstitute our nation and its politics long after 2020. Now, in a related development, and we reported on this before, but along the same vein as sheriffs switching parties, we really are seeing an astonishing alliance forming between law enforcement on the one hand and armed militias on the other. Now, we've reported on some of our other videos how enrollment in militias is absolutely skyrocketing. They more than doubled in the last 10 years, right? PBS recently did a report highlighting the massive surge in armed militia activity and membership. So today there are over 500 different militia groups in the United States, more than double the number in 2008. And take a guess who they are recruiting. Who's signing up with these armed militias? You guessed it, law enforcement officials. There have been a number of articles reporting on the fact that thousands of both active and retired law enforcement officials have joined militia organizations over the last few years. And we can only imagine that that number has swelled at the moment, given how lawmakers were so quick to disavow the police and start spewing out their whole, defund and disband nonsense. And the massive enthusiasm that law enforcement has for these pro-Trump militias seems to be taking the media off guard. The left-wing activists disguised as journalists in the mainstream Marxist media, they really don't seem to know how to respond to this surge, both in terms of numbers and support that law enforcement has for these armed militias. And so, as far as the radicals over at the Washington Post are concerned, well, police can't control armed militias, and this is largely because the police are welcoming them. And police are more and more forming alliances, either formally or informally, with armed militias. So what's going on here? What's really behind these mass defections we're seeing across the country among law enforcement away from the Democrats and towards the Republicans and armed militias? Well, before we answer that, we cannot thank you enough for all of you who have signed up for our brand new Turley Talks podcast. We are number 23 in the nation of political commentary, and with your support, we are fast making our way to number 1. And so, if you own a business and are looking to advertise directly to huge conservative audiences, we got a number of exclusive launch packages for you that will put your business front and center before a huge audience of dedicated and loyal conservatives. All you got to do is click on the link below in the pinned comment section and sign up to get more information on how your business can flourish as a sponsor of our Turley Talks podcast. It'll be an absolute honor and privilege to work together with you to advance conservative businesses throughout our nation. All right, so what's really going on with this mass defection of law enforcement, particularly sheriffs, to the Republican Party and to militias and the like? Well, if you're a regular to this channel, and if not, make sure you smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you're a regular to this channel, you'll know that we've been arguing that the nation as a whole is going through a restructuring. It's realigning around an urban versus ex-urban political hostility or confrontation. Now, of course, we really saw this first emerge, this national realignment. It came to the fore in 2016 when white working class urban voters defected en masse from the Democratic Party and started voting for Trump. They voted for every single Democrat candidate for president since the 1980s by a 20-point margin and suddenly switched to Trump in 2016 by a comparable 20-point margin. In fact, even if Hillary had gotten the same amount of black votes as Barack Obama did, she still would have lost because of the white working class voter defection over to Trump. It was an astonishing political paradigm shift, really a tectonic shift that completely took pollsters like Nate Silver and others completely off guard. In other words, up until 2016, Democrat presidential candidates could comfortably rely on an informal coalition between a virtually monolithic urban vote and a comparably monolithic rural vote in counties thought once absolutely blue in states like Wisconsin and Iowa and Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota. That coalition's dead. That coalition collapsed. It's been ripped apart. And not only has it been ripped apart, like we saw in 2016, the ex-urban or rural vote is now voting totally Republican, perhaps better Trumpian, in such massive numbers that they're overwhelming the still monolithic Democrat vote in America's urban areas. Well, that split has only exacerbated since the advent of the race riots, as well as COVID. COVID, I think, solidified the animosity between urban populations and ex-urban populations, where urban life was seen by more and more people really as just a threat to their very well-being, right? To their very safety. But all bets were off when when we saw this shocking level of destruction and looting and violence inherent in all the race riots that enveloped our nation's cities. But also the equally, if not more shocking move by Democrat mayors and city councils who deliberately abdicated their law enforcement responsibilities and not only allowed the looting and the rioting, but as these sheriffs have pointed out, actually defended, in many ways encouraged it. And so not only are we seeing an unprecedented exodus from urban areas, which is beyond belief in terms of its extent, right? Between the months of March and May, right, 3 months, New York City lost almost 500,000 residents. An estimated 420,000 residents left New York City alone. In July, there was a record 13,000 apartment vacancies across Manhattan. New lease signings, they've fallen by nearly 25%. New York City has seen an average real estate sale price fall by an astonishing 17.7% since February. And what's happening in New York is happening in virtually every city in the nation. There was a mass exodus out of the cities, particularly among the affluent. And they're escaping not to the suburbs, but to the exurbs, to the rural areas of the country. And so not only are we seeing an unprecedented exodus from our Democrat-controlled urban areas, but we're now seeing new fidelities and new political alliances shaping a new conservative coalition. Where once loyal Democrats are renouncing their political party and walking away to join a new political alliance in the Republican Party, forming a new conservative alliance that promises to be stronger and more powerful than anything we have ever seen. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how Hillary Clinton is getting totally roasted on Twitter as her latest meltdowns become more cringeworthy than ever. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.